Knowing why a lone shooter kills will not protect you. That's next. Hello, I'm Victor Vogel, author of Creating a Bad Guy Free Zone. In this short video, I want to simply say that knowing why a lone shooter or terrorist commits a mass attack will not help protect you. Now, an FBI profiler will try to understand the lone shooter and why they commit a terrible act and try to associate the many behavior patterns of the lone shooter to find them before they can kill. But even with all that information from past cases, they have difficulty narrowing down personality traits, behaviors, and activities that could clearly identify a lone shooter before the attack. Law enforcement, unfortunately, has to rely on the average citizen to create a lead that would allow an FBI profiler to identify a potential shooter. The gaping hole in this process is the everyday citizen's knowledge of a lone shooter's behavior. There is, however, a pattern that has been consistent for lone shooters, even the mentally ill, and terrorists. It is a standard method of operation they use. It is an understanding of this pattern that can protect you. If you know the pattern and the different activities that go on during each step of the pattern, you might be someone who notices something suspicious and reports it to law enforcement. When you understand the pattern, you learn a lot about what venues lone shooters and terrorists prefer. You will discover how they select targets, gather information, secure resources for the attack, how they plan the execution of the attack, and even how they plan escapes, or if they may not want to escape, for example, like a suicide bomber. It is the knowledge that can help you decide how to protect yourself. This knowledge, along with other factors such as knowing yourself, understanding you don't live in an isolated world, so everywhere you go is potentially a target for a lone shooter or terrorist, and finally, come to the realization this could happen to you. In my book, I emphasize all these points and provide a model to help create a protection strategy that can provide you confidence in your ability to protect yourself. Law enforcement's role in protecting you is hit and miss, and many times it's luck, like making the traffic stop in Tennessee and finding a lot of guns and ammunition in the driver's car. Thankfully, this is something that happens, but most of the time it's like Las Vegas, where they are responding after the shooting begins. The good news is they're getting much better at the response. There are also instances where the FBI runs a sting operation and thwarts a terrorist act. Because these sting operations are often set up after someone informs them of suspicious behavior. Learning how lone shooters and terrorists operate and think, along with understanding suspicious behavior, and when that behavior would constitute a violent threat, are things that help law enforcement. These are the things I emphasize in my book. Instead of becoming a victim, become part of the solution. First, recognize and accept we live in a different world, like it or not, where violence is becoming more severe and lately more frequent. Don't accept the attitude, it will not happen to you. Second, you understand yourself and what you're capable of when it comes to protecting or defending yourself. Third, learn about your enemy. Take the time to understand the method of operation for a terrorist and a lone shooter, and identify what behaviors to look for and when you are most likely to see these behaviors. Fourth, recognize and accept you live in a holistic world where you are highly integrated. Understand how terrorists and lone shooters take advantage of how we live in the world today. Fifth, take the time to assess your level of protection using a threat assessment. And then from this threat assessment, establish a protection strategy and activities that support it. Make sure your whole family is engaged. What's at stake? Your life and the life of those you love. Close your eyes and allow yourself to envision seeing the news of the shooting in Las Vegas and know your daughter, son, wife, or husband was at that concert. If you resisted this exercise, you're normal. That is why you have to work at overcoming this resistance. Now, do we want lone shooters and terrorists to affect how we live? No. But the reality is they are. Over 20,000 people think differently about going to an open-air concert. They may go, but they will be there watching it in fear. It's only human. Some people interviewed after the shooting who were not injured stated on television that they will never go to a large public area again, and that includes Disney. Are lone shooters and terrorists altering the way we live? Yes. They're impacting us with each and every event. Finally, keep in mind, you're accountable for your protection. You cannot abdicate this to anyone else. Remember, it's better to avoid a threat than to defend against a life threat. I recommend you buy my book and read it. It's short, to the point, and covers many of the areas I'm talking about today. Think of it as an investment in your life, yours and your loved ones. I'm Victor Vogel, and everywhere I go, I create a bad guy free zone.